Rita laughed as she led them to the training grounds, where the mages were already assembled and waiting.
You have a pet bird? That is just awesome. Will he be watching? That's a male windspeed hawk, right?
One of the girls from the mage class asked.
He is. His name is Hawk, and he will be helping me out today with the blocking duties.
Karl agreed. The mages looked extra excited. They were wondering what a magical beast would do to block their attacks, but they didn't want to go find a wild one to find out firsthand. This was much safer, and they would be able to learn if the hawk's logic on what should be blocked was different from what a human's would be. The barrage began again, but with faster attacks, variable speed attacks, and multiple castings to try to get around Karl's defenses. As soon as the fight started, Hawk leapt up into the air and circled behind the targets so that he could attack downward the way that he was used to and began targeting the water balls. Nobody else noticed at first, as there were only a couple of water mages, but they were quite certain that the bird had something against them. Hey, did that hawk just cast a windshield? I swear that it used a barrier spell when my water ball split to go around the rending blades. The water mage complained. It's a wind speed hawk. Since when do they have a barrier ability? One of the other mages laughed, and then saw his fireball simply dissipate against an invisible shield. Damn it, they do have a windshield. All right, I've got a counter for that. The fire mage raged while the other mages laughed and the hawk screeched happily. His next attack was 3 fireballs, split in speed so they wouldn't be easily blocked. Hawk spread his toes and swung his foot, sending a trio of rending blades out to intercept. They hit all 3 fireballs at once, and the other mages cheered.
Man, he's good! No wonder people tell horror stories about trying to get away from bird-type monsters,
one of the cheering mages remarked. After the skills training with the mages finished, they all managed to drag themselves to lunch, exhausted but satisfied with their progression. As he sat down, Karl began to mentally prepare himself for the afternoon skills training. Hawk was happily resting on the table with a chunk of roasted meat. But Karl could tell that the bird's mind had already wandered to the monster blood-treated delicacies that had been stored in the taming space for him to snack on all afternoon, while his master learned how to fight.
Do you think that they will let you go out with the newbie training patrols? I know that you're training alone and on a different learning program than everyone else in the first-year class, but we also heard the teacher talking today about how they might black badge you soon, and then you'll be able to lead a group into the woods. The actual classes always have wilderness assignments, but they can't go without an awakened or stronger team leader, so most of the first years have to beg for favors from the seniors, or wait until the teachers organize an outing.
One of the girls asked. She was also a black-badged awakened mage, but looked older than many others in the Misfit Mages class, so she might be in her 3rd year, not her 2nd.
I will have to ask Sergeant Rita about it. I didn't know that the others had to leave the academy grounds to do things in their first year, so it's all news to me. Other than the combat training class, where I don't actually spar with many of the other students because I'm physically not so strong and untrained, you guys are the only student interaction that I have.
Karl explained.
Oh, that makes sense. This early in the year, you wouldn't be doing much of anything but learning the basics. It's mostly the alchemists, druids, garden witches, and such that have to go outside into nature to train.
The mage agreed.
Yeah, and the more esoteric mages often don't leave the library for more than an hour or 2 a day for their entire time at the academy. They just learn as much as they can about spells, and then never actually use them for anything. I should have worked harder to be one of them. It would be less exhausting.
One of the boys added.
If you can, you definitely want to go outside, though. There are all sorts of good things out there, especially for a meat lover like your hawk. And you'll get extra credit for leading the group, which you can spend at the supply room.
Sergeant Rita's voice came from behind Karl.
Are you lot trying to steal away my student? He's got a long way to go before he's ready to go out into the wilderness unaccompanied.
The mages laughed and everyone pointed at the bird on the table. Did you know that the windspeed hawk can use wind barrier? With that and rend, it's already tougher than most of us. Plus, it's a magical beast, and there's still a whole Karl to go with it. One of the mages explained. Rita gave the mages a stern look that said she wasn't going to be changing her mind on Karl going on the wilderness outings, no matter whether he got the black badge or not.
Your plates are empty, and Hawk has finished basking in the attention. So pack him away and get to the training class. We will be testing your memory today,
Rita ordered, then left Karl to clean up and follow behind her.
Looks like the mention of going outside got her upset. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Karl laughed as he transferred Hawk back into the taming space. He could do that from a distance, but he wasn't sure just how far it worked from, as he hadn't tried it from more than across the room. That was another skill that he would have to practice with Hawk eventually, once their bond and bodies were strong enough that they could operate individually and didn't have to rely on each other for everything. Well, maybe they wouldn't wait on the bodies to get stronger. Windspeed hawks were better known for their skills than their durability, but the sentiment was the same. Karl jogged down to the training area, where Sergeant Rita was waiting for him with a few older students, and the regular class was just beginning to assemble in the locker room to get changed.
Give me 2 minutes and I will be back out,
he called as he saw the sergeant already changed and waiting.
Bare feet and shorts, shirt optional,
one of the older students called back. That was the normal sort of training outfit for the mixed martial arts class, so Karl didn't think much of it as he got ready and came back out. Not bad. Still young, but a good bit of muscle mass, lean and solid, one of the older students noted when Karl returned without a shirt. It would just get in the way while sparring, so he was carrying it with his towel and water bottle, both sourced from the shelves in the changing room along with the training outfit. Rita looked over Karl in the training group.
All right, first we will start with a quick sparring session to see how much of your training you actually managed to remember. I remember giving you some resources that will help you retain knowledge, so I have high expectations.
Karl couldn't tell how strong these students were supposed to be when everyone was in training outfits. But the boy he was paired up with was only a little larger than he was and slightly more heavily muscled. None of the students in this training class were pure bodybuilder physiques. It would interfere with their flexibility. That didn't mean much when there were supernatural abilities involved. Many of the warrior classes got strong physical enhancements as they practiced, as good or better than the feedback that Karl got from Hawk.
This will be a 3-minute round. Now, start,
Rita announced. His opponent darted out a jab to test Karl's reaction speed, which he blocked while moving forward for a knee strike. Being smaller, it was to his advantage to get as close as he could, where the other boy's reach advantage didn't mean anything. He had learned that yesterday while getting beaten up by Rita. He only knew a few strikes, punches, knees, and elbows, along with a few blocks, but hopefully it would be enough to get him through the next 3 minutes. The older boy aimed a strike at Karl's head, which he dug under and punched toward the stomach. This opponent was fast, nearly as fast as Rita, and he danced out of the way instead of blocking, which allowed him to move out of Karl's punching range. It put Karl on the defensive as the boy counteract, but either he was weaker than Rita or he was holding back, and he didn't manage to land a solid hit for the next minute as Karl threw a few kicks and tried to get back in close again. It wasn't working. The boy had figured out the trick to keeping Karl away with knee strikes, and the two were at an impasse when the round ended.
Not bad, but neither of you could land a hit to save your lives,
Rita admonished them. He's short and stupidly fast. If you want someone who can beat him up in a sparring match, ask the monk classes, not me. the boy complained.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.